on this situation, but there was just a little too much chest hair. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that to people. So we're buttoned up and we're ready to go.
Okay, but like, why not show the chest hair? Come on now.
Hey, the game demands
you're playing the Awu.
Feral, bestie.
You're playing the Awu.
Yes, you are. It's true. It's in character, truly.
Beautiful.
I just don't think that Fitz is a very Deza-B sort of individual. But I guess after the night that he had, maybe.
I was going to say, you're going to say that to me? You're going to say that to my face?
Oh. Fighting words already, and we haven't even begun.
Fighting or... I'm sorry.
I thought they were friends. What's up?
Or biting.
Fighting or biting, you know?
Roll for initiative. The girls are fighting already.
So hello, everyone. You are here for a season of Secrets and Shadows. We are now with Table 2, and this is going to be absolutely incredible. I am so excited. Everybody is coming in with their feral energy as the game demands. And before I go way off track, because my mind has been on tech, I have to remember how we start these intros, and that is a good time. So, hi, I am JD. I am usually a player, now moving more into the role of storyteller with this game, which, if you did not know, is 8 players, 2 tables, 8 weeks. This is Table 2. We got the feral energy of Table 1. Now we are going to the feral energy of Table 2. So, we are live from the apocalypse. I am all over the place. I apologize. This, incidentally, is my first time running tech and GMing at the same time, so it's going to be an experience for all of us. We are going to have a good time with it. I am also very sick, so this is just going to be an experience where I will hopefully remember how to say words. So yes, we are live from the apocalypse. We are a not-for-profit TTRPG studios that raises money for aid organizations and supports progressive causes. We are currently raising money for the First Nations Development Institute, and so we do ask that rather than subbing, giving us bits, any of the usual stuff, you instead give your money directly to them, which you can do at any point by doing !donate in the chat. You can then give them your money. They will do good things with it, much better things than what we would do, and we will very much support you in doing that, and you will support them. It is good for everyone involved. That said, we cannot actually stop you from subscribing, unfortunately. We can deter you, though. So if you donate, as you got to see as our starting soon screen was on, you get to see the McElroy brothers yell at us. And in this type of game, that means that you might interrupt a steamy moment, you might interrupt something hot and heavy going on, you might interrupt a moment of intense angst and drama. And all of us will then have to reorient ourselves and be able to get back into character after we've been completely thrown off. So very good all around. However, if you subscribe, something tragic will happen. And that tragic thing is that Brennan Lee Mulligan will kill 1 dog for every month that you've been subscribed. I know. Scandalous. Tragic. Especially in the game where there are werewolves. I mean, this is really bad. I mean, not that applies to anyone sitting at this table. I'm sorry. Not that applies to anyone. But we gotta protect the dogs. And so, yes, you can make your choice. Either donate and good things will happen, subscribe, and Brennan Lee Mulligan kills a dog. Decide if you can live with yourself. So, yes, Raph. Raph is getting the silver bullets. This is what happens when Table 1 jumps into the chat of Table 2. But I don't think there's any reason for silver bullets, because I think I said this last week. This is actually the Oops All Mortals table, so there's actually no one supernatural here, as you'll find out very shortly. I think that's all I need to say for my part of that introduction. Let's get into cast introductions. So, I am going to start. How do I want to do this? You know what? Left to right. So, I'm going to say, Kit, I would like you to introduce yourself, your character, and what Monsterheart skin your character is using. And I will make you big to do your introduction.
I get to be big?
You do.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Kit. You can find me places at Kit Roll Cause. Tonight I will be playing Ms., not Lady, Elise Clarendon. And she is using the Mortal playbook. Obviously, clearly, totally not a vampire.
100%. I trust this entirely. All right. Q. Introduce us to Mr. Dorian Black and yourself.
Hi, my name is Q. I am from Tales from the Table Studios. And just a creature of the internet. Don't mind me. Tonight I am playing Mr., not Lord, Dorian Black. Mr. Black, if you're nasty. And he is the Infernal playbook, but he's just a dude. He's just a little guy.
I trust this entirely.
As you should.
All right. Alex, introduce us to yourself and Captain Fitzgerald.
Hello, I'm Alex. I'm also an internet person, Mightiest Finn on Twitter, and I do some other stuff, which I might talk about at the end. But this evening I will be playing Captain Fitzgerald de Villiers, totally normal member of the Horse Grenadiers. Fitz is not at all a werewolf, and his incredibly horrible family has not been werewolves for centuries. Don't worry about it. We're just here to vibe and have a good time. Maybe play some polo.
Once again, I trust this. I trust this implicitly. And last, but certainly not least, Amber, introduce us to yourself and Astrid.
Hello, everybody. I'm Amber, also known as the Space Jamber. I'm a TTRPG writer, editor, podcaster, streamer, and I can tell you about that later. My pronouns are they, them, but I will be playing Ms. Astrid Primer, or Lady Astrid Primer. They are a unicorn, but not in the way that you're thinking, get your mind out the gutter. She's not interested in that. She's very pure and also the oldest one in society right now in her final year of being in society before she's well, I guess y'all will find out. But
will we find out the potential tragedy that is on the horizon?
We got 8 weeks. Well, 7 weeks.
That's true. And we are, as always, playing to find out.
Yes.
So yes, this is my beautiful cast of Table 2. Absolutely incredible. And again, all mortal. Nothing weird going on here. So that is fine. This is, as I said before, a season of Secrets and Shadows. Specified this last week. I will specify it again. This is a Regency-flavored Monsterhearts game. Do not come at me. I am going to be massacring history. I will get things that are historically inaccurate, but it's fine because we have a bunch of monsters running around. You will also notice a bunch of fans in these players' hands because they have been prepared and practicing and learning. I believe some have even learned a bit of fan language, so we'll see if any of that comes up tonight. I also do have to quickly, I have to call out, everyone in the cast, but especially Kit, for making incredible fan art of all of the characters because they are amazing. So I just have to highlight that because that was impressive and incredible.
You're too kind. And now that we're all out, I can finally post some of it.
And the playlists.
And the playlist.
Yes.
Don't talk to me about my playlist. I have a problem.
Is this an invitation to post our playlists?
It is 100%.
Hey now. Yeah, you can.
So yes, now that this table has been released, it sounds like a whole lot of more content is going to be out there in the wide world, which is amazing because, as I said last time, this group has produced 500 text-based RP posts, multiple pieces of fan art, multiple playlists, all sorts of absolute chaos, and they weren't even sitting down for a session yet. So it's been remarkable.
Us too much time. You gave us too much time to be invested, and here we are, living.
I gave you all way too much power, but that is okay. I do not regret anything. You have given me so much to play with as your storyteller. And I think with that, it is time to dive in for our second table of a season of Secrets and Shadows. And so, much like last time, we are going to start with a bird's eye view of London, specifically over the palace. But now we're actually back to the previous day with the opening of the season and the presentation of those for whom it was their first season. You may recall that with Table 1, everyone had experienced at least one previous season, but this time around, a few of the members are out in high society for their first time. And so with that, we don't stay outside the palace. No, we get to move in, and we get to see what is inside, starting with the entry hall. In the entry hall, the first thing that catches everyone's attention who comes through is a large painting. It's a portrait of the ruler King Alex's parents, Prince Alexander of the former Royal House of Hampton, and the opera singer Madeline Montgomery, who holds an infant King Alex in her arms. Now, while some members of the House Montgomery may avoid bringing up this rather scandalous aspect of the family, Queen Louise is much more open to it. There are a bunch of paintings that follow in the halls. Many that show some of the violence and turmoil of events such as the Three Brothers' War for succession, as well as one entitled The Hound's Exodus, which shows Seneschal Ansel Shaw, Seneschal Julius Shaw's ancestor, holding Madeline and young King Alex and getting them to safety.
You are a sick son of a...
Gonna kill that dog.
Oh my God,
And I'm so sorry, Alex.
He's the bad guy. You!
I'm all the bad guys.
I'm so sorry.
We're starting with a
That
canid
is
massacre.
one dog.
I see.
I am so sorry.
So first of all, how dare you? And second of all, how could you? And third of all, how dare you again?
100%. 100%. This is scandalous that we are starting here. My wife just made that comment, so I just had to process that. That was a threat right there. Okay. Sorry about this, Fitz. I am so sorry. So yes, we are looking at paintings. That is the thing that is happening. We see a few others, but most notably, one that has recently been added on Queen Louise's request, and that is called The False King's Triumph. And it depicts Charles, a former ruler, armor soaked in blood, a crown of bones on his head, standing over his now deceased brothers, Prince Alexander and Prince Vincent. Another one of the recent additions, I know, scandalous, is Vincent and the Devil, showing an imagining of Prince Vincent brokering a deal with a demon of hell in exchange for weapons. And it is said that the royal family still holds some of these hell-forged relics. But if that sword were ever seen in the hand of one of the rulers, that would be a dangerous and ill portent. For if a ruler holds that sword, signals the country is about to enter a war. But that's not going to happen today because it is the opening of the season, and we are all here to see those who are new to high society being presented. So we start now outside of the throne room, and we come into view on a figure standing at the very front of the line, not escorted. Kit, would you like to describe Miss Elise Clarendon and what we see as she stands there, waiting to be presented for their first time to the Regents?
I would love it more than life itself. So Elise stands about 5'3", 5'4", respectable. Rather fair, but clearly freckled, clearly naturally so. With very dark, very tightly curled hair. done up clearly not by her own hand. Clearly somebody at the palace had something to say about this, as is the case with the majority of their dress, because they look, their clothing begets someone who should be here. Their stance and their presence and their face does not. But they are probably, nerves steeled, a little bit nervous, but holding it together. They did not know they would be doing this morning.
That is true. You were woken up, your hair and outfit were brought out to you, and you were told to head down and wait. For what? You're actually not exactly sure. And that is the moment where, for you, a familiar figure walks up to you. And that figure is someone you have become quite well acquainted with, Sovereign Micah Bellamy. Now, nothing like this has ever been seen, and there are not gasps, but there are almost gasps, because this is such a shocking thing as they step over, their stature tall, their hair long and blonde, just brushing against their shoulders. Eyes of absolute blood red. There is no mistaking that Sovereign Bellamy is a vampire. And they are dressed in a brocade shirt, light blue with gold, with a black slash with purple filigree crossing their body. And they just offer Elise their arm.
I think Elise just kind of looks like I think they bow, the appropriate amount. They've learned that much. And when Micah doesn't walk away, they just sort of very, very confused, and will take the offered arm, of course, but just sort of stage whisper, where are we going?
And they lean in and say, well, it is your first season, and you are to be presented to Queen Louis Montgomery.
And who will be doing the presenting?
Myself, obviously.
It is clear on Elise's face that they are not pleased. And they don't say anything. They know better at this point than to talk back to the sovereign, especially in a fairly public forum. But it is clear by the vice grip on their arm and the very tense set of their shoulders that they are not pleased, and we'll have words about this later. But Elise knows how to put on a show. That is what they will do.
And perhaps it is also good that this is not actually their first time entering the throne room, as there was another occasion where they were brought in there, so the throne room itself does not surprise you. It looks as it did then. It is a rectangular room with large windows along one wall. The arched ceiling is painted in as the sky in gradient, ranging from the dark hues of night to the bright blues of day. Where the thrones sit, it is under a depiction of the morning sky. Where guests, we shall say, enter, that stands beneath the night. The walls and doors are painted white, and a set of double doors are on either side. There is a deep purple canopy trimmed in gold that frames the thrones, and the pair of thrones themselves are so close that they touch. And of course, those sitting in them can easily touch, if they so choose. The carved wood is gilded in gold, and the cushions are made of purple velvet. And each arched back of the throne of which you can see clearly, especially on the one that is empty, as Sovereign Micah Bellamy is currently introducing Miss Elise Clarendon to high society and presenting them to the Queen. It has the heraldry of House Montgomery, which includes a hoof print as well as the image of a phoenix. The one new addition since Queen Louis and Sovereign Micah's marriage is that beside each throne, on a high pedestal, are vases of glass roses in shades of black and crimson. Now, Queen Louis Montgomery sits on the throne. She has vibrant red hair, a softer shade that is artfully woven into braids that are pulled into a bun. Some of the hair, of course, left out to frame her face because it has to be perfect. Her eyes are blue and discerning, and she is dressed in a red dress that is several shades darker than her hair. Her arms are bare, but
yeah, just fucking grip it and rip it, baby. Slop that down,
Thank you
dude.
so much.
Yeah, dude, crack one for the big boy.
Amber just had to throw me off my game. Just had to throw me off, but for a beautiful cause and for a beautiful reason. We respect this. And so Queen Louis is dressed in a red dress, and then between where the dress ends and her full-length gloves that are so black they almost look shadowed her arms are bare. And she stares at you, Elise, as you are walked in by Micah, who presents you to the Queen as Miss Elise Clarendon, our artist in residence.
And Elise will walk confidently, even if some of that is false. And looking at the Queen it's full pleasantries, and that is not fake. The Queen has been plenty kind, and obviously it's the Queen. As soon as they are presented, and I assume Micah sits at that point.
Micah does not initially sit. They remain by your side as you are presented fully to the Queen, not to the two of them.
Ooh. Oh, zesty. Oh man. I think the moment they do, the full curtsy, the full the presentation, the bits, the pageantry of it all. But the moment that Sovereign Micah lets go of their hand, perhaps looks to them, there is just a momentary glare, and then they step back and remain in the pageantry. It is clearly not directed even remotely at the Queen. This is just a moment just for them. And then they continue on and they do what they need done.
And the Queen does not give you much by way of response. She maybe very slightly inclines her head to you, like in acknowledgement, and otherwise waits until you have been escorted back out still by Sovereign Micah, who then leaves you at the door and just says, "You did adequately."
And you have put a target on my back.
They do not respond. They simply turn and take their place on the other throne.
Am I out of the room?
You are.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Oh man. Like the second the doors shut or they are gone or like out of eye shot, ear shot, etc. There's just like a moment where they maintain it, and then oh my god, like just pacing, just like find a window, look out it, try to figure out what just happened, because that they were not planning on being a part of the season. They were planning on perhaps attending a ball to paint at most, right? This is far too much. Okay. All right. It's fine. This is fine. Do I need to stay? Can I go? I don't know. I'm just waiting for like somebody else to come out. And then if they leave, I will also walk away, but I don't know if I need to stay.
And so you do know that there will be later events. However, everyone who is being presented will be going before that happens. So you do have a bit of breathing room. And with your residence being at the palace, you do have the ability to return to your room and have a bit of breathing time while others are presented to the regents.
Oh man, she takes it 100%. She's just running full pelt across the palace, just back to her room, just get the some of the jewels out of their hair and just get out of the frills, and the lace is not something that they have, even at the palace, really, like a court gown, a presentation gown is so much more than they have ever been expected to wear. And it's just like, they do not wait for a lady's maid of any sort. It is just like, it's self doing the buttons and just throwing it down, just like sitting in the window, kind of hyperventilating a little bit. And then I think if there is an amount of time, they would go for a walk because they need some air after that. Obviously putting on some more appropriate clothes. If they got caught in a fancy white ball gown outside, they would be beheaded probably.
And with that, we're going to move away from Miss Elise Clarendon as they have a chance to step outside and take in some fresh air and step away from all of the festivities within the palace related to the season. We are going to pan over to our other individual who was presented for his first time as well. And so as we look at those standing there ready to be presented, what do we see, Q, as we pan over to Mr. Dorian Black, who is standing with the Connolly family?
You see the epitome of tall, dark, and handsome. Dark skin. Hair is neatly trimmed and styled. He does have dark glasses. And he's wearing, the usual Regency finery, except that his coat is somewhere between wine and blood red. And it, sits ever so nicely on his shoulders. He is currently looking back to where Miss Clarendon had just gone, because that was quite the sight. But he's realizing that it's now his turn, and is adjusting himself to be the most presentable he can be.
And the group standing with you, Dorian, is a group that is showing, well, at least some members, I should say, are showing a level of polite tension. And so you are standing with the Connollys and with that, their son, Isaac. And what is notable about this is that Isaac is the only one dressed in all black, still clearly in mourning garb, as his fiancée was killed last season. That individual being, of course, Carmen Delauso's brother, Damien. And they have not been seen too much out in high society since then. This is really their first time returning.
I think in solidarity, we still have the red coat, but the shirt that Dorian is wearing is black. It's only fair.
So respectful.
Absolutely. And while the Connollys have a good deal of tension, Dorian is cool as a cucumber. Cool as the underside of a pillow.
And with that, as you are brought in to the throne room which is as it appeared to Miss Elise Clarendon as they walked in. This time, though, with both of the regents sitting atop the thrones, you are introduced as Mr. Dorian Black from America, sponsored by the Connolly family, who are essentially vouching for you in high society.
Dorian gives a very respectful, honor-filled bow to them both. It is an honor and a pleasure to be before your highnesses, majesty. I do hope to find myself in your good graces, by my actions, of course, within your court.
And they do not speak, which you would have been prepared would be likely, that they would not give much by way of acknowledgement outside of similarly to how they responded to Miss Elise Clarendon, both nodding at you respectfully. That said, you notice a figure that either was not standing there when Miss Elise Clarendon was presented, or they did not notice. But there is a figure standing right behind the thrones, dressed in a white shirt with a black vest, dressed down compared to everyone else, in fact. There are actually a variety of leather straps and buckles crisscrossing over their body. And their hair is long. It's longer than Sovereign Micah's, and it cascades fully down their back. His eyes are amber and almost cat-like. And he steps to the side, in fact, to get a better look at you from around the throne. And you catch sight of Seneschal Julius Shaw.
Fantastic. There will be, once I've been given the nod by the sovereigns, Dorian will look to the Seneschal. And there's just a nod. It's deep and respectful nod, of course, as deep as he gave to the monarchs. But it's deep and respectful. And as he's standing back up from underneath his glasses, from behind his glasses, the Seneschal will see golden eyes. And then he will adjust his glasses and look to the Connollys, who's like asking if we're done.
And there is a moment as your eyes over top your glasses meet the Seneschal's eyes that your gazes lock, and you get a sensation, kind of a bit of a crawling on the back of your neck, the hair standing on end, that the Seneschal has just in some way marked you.
Interesting. Good to know. Huh.
And the Connollys escort you out, and you are able, similarly to Elise, to take a bit of time to yourself before the rest of the opening festivities start.
Great. I think I'm going to go find my good friend Fitz. I'll hang out with the Connollys for a little bit. You know, I did promise them that I would be with them for a bit. And they are out after a while, so I guess I'll stay with it for a little while. But then I'm going to find Fitz.
That is fair. And we will be moving to Fitz in just a moment. But Amber, I want to know what Astrid is doing on the first day of their, if I'm remembering right, 5th season.
It is I think stressful is the kindest way of putting the type of atmosphere that is present in the Primer home, knowing the disastrous way Astrid's engagement ended last season, and knowing that they're going to have to face their former fiance once again in the court. Astrid does the best that she can to dull the color of the port wine birthmark stain that kind of covers the majority of the left side of her face, kind of going up into her forehead. With powders and everything, knowing that she has to do what they must to be as presentable as possible in front of not only, court and society at large, but really the seneschal, almost to let him know what he's missing out on and what he could have had.
Incredible.
They, Astrid, though, like, her features are fair, light brown hair, very, very, very unicorn-like, light brown hair, very, very, what is the word I'm looking for? Not China.
Porcelain?
Porcelain. Yes, there it is. Complexion. Kind of almost looks very frail and delicate, but inside is a personality that is far, far more robust than her appearance might lead one on to assume. I mean, it's been 4 seasons and a failed engagement, and she's still here, going to push on. So she'll pull up her tights a little bit higher. She'll lace up her corset a little bit more. And put on a brave face for the people in court to show that she's not embarrassed and they're not here to be pitied. They're here to continue to make a name for themselves in society, no matter what the cost.
We love to see it. We love to see
Yes,
it, Astrid.
We absolutely do.
And so I must ask with that, how does Astrid react as she is at the opening ball for the season, as you all are, and they catch sight of Seneschal Julius Shaw?
I didn't go to that big ball that everyone did. At least
No.
big one that y'all role played. I didn't do
that
that.
was the after party.
That's the after party.
Oh, I was like out of character. I was too high to participate in it, so I didn't.
But, yeah, no, all of that was the after party after the official ball.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. It's been a rough week, and it's been a rough start of the year in the Logsden household. So but
you were doing amazing.
Yeah. But anyway, so the question was, how does she appear coming into court during the ball?
And how does she react to Julius being there?
I think part of the reason why she didn't end up showing up to the after party, one, is because she didn't want to deal with him, and seeing him at the ball like this, she had prepared herself for the last 2 weeks or so, knowing that he would be there, and to be as gently cold as possible, to not be so cruel about the way he broke up their engagement, but to give him the don't even come near me kind of vibe. Ooh, wait, hold on. There is fan language for this. It is. twirling the fan in the left hand is, she is taking her fan and just twirling it in her left hand whenever he looks her way to be like, don't come up here. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Don't even think about me. This actually means I wish to get rid of you.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So, but for the rest of the ball, Astrid's fine. Again, she knows that there's going to be some element of, people talking in hushed whispers behind their back and making up whatever gossip and lies that are prevalent in these spaces, but she knows the truth and she knows what she's here to do. And also that guy can fuck himself.
I mean, apparently.
Apparently. And I will say, he does respect the vibes that you are putting out there, Astrid. Well, you notice that he is certainly looking at you. He does not approach, and he gives you that space.
It's appreciated.
Would the lady accept a dance?
Actually, can I ask one thing before we do that, Q?
Yes, absolutely.
JD, I have a move called With Integrity where I I have my 5th stat, integrity. And I can gain a point of integrity when I take the moral high ground about an issue that matters or follow through on something important that you'll say you do. Would you say that not giving in to the temptation of being that guy at the ball would be
110%.
Okay.
Given some of the things we discussed about their relationship, I think that would completely fit within that move.
Okay, sick. I will give myself that point of integrity. Okay. All right. I think Astrid, when Dorian comes to ask Astrid for a dance, a gentle smile plays across their lips. Gratitude, it is actually. Because it's the first time anyone's actually asked her for a dance in 4-5 seasons now. So yeah. Astrid will say, "It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance." And you are?
Dorian Black.
Mr. Black. May I call you Mr. Black? Is that acceptable?
If you like. And you are?
Ms. Lady Astrid Primer. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Pleasure's all mine, my lady.
I would love to join you for a dance.
Wonderful. And he will lead out onto the dance floor.
She will keep her fan in her left hand, which according to fan language means desirous of an acquaintance. So.
He will accept in whatever the fan language is. I don't remember.
I have it in a tab, so you're good.
Right. So, I think you're supposed to accept the fan. I think.
Oh yeah, offering the fan. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, and I accept.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Dance time.
I was going to say, how many dances does Dorian share with Astrid this evening?
As many as she would like.
I think overdoing it would be Astrid's the type to have like overthought at this point every single element of like how they're going to conduct themselves during this ball. And so they resolved like, okay, if somebody asks me to dance, if anybody asks me to dance, they'll, I'll give them like 2 dances, because then it won't look desperate, but it'll also look like, ooh, okay, somebody does want to spend time with me. So, but Astrid doesn't tell you any of this.
Sure. This is all internal workings, of course.
Exactly. So they'll gleefully share 2 wonderful dances with you, a great quadrille. And then after the second, give a deep curtsy to you and say, well, Mr. Dorian, you really know how to show a lady a wonderful time. Thank you so much. I don't want to take up too much of your time, because I'm sure you have other prospects to visit around the room. But I hope to have another dance with you in another
I was
engagement.
having a good time.
Yeah. One of these.
Yeah.
Okay, so JD, I haven't been introduced yet, but seeing my good friend and close personal acquaintance and roommate, Mr. Dorian Black, enjoying himself, and then seeing that end, Fitz would definitely cut in. Just
my host and dear friend, and then he appears.
Just incredible.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
Mr. Black.
Have you met the Lady Prima?
I think when you ask that question, Fitz just sort of rotates. And he is a person who, when he is focused on you, it's like 110% focus. Like maybe just a little too fierce, if that makes sense. And he's like, oh yeah, the Primers. Know all about them. Didn't know that you would be here this evening. Lovely to see you.
Well, yes, it is wonderful to see you again as well, Captain. I apologize. I know I should not have been here this year, but circumstances being as they were, well.
What?
Good Lord, if anyone deserves to be here, it's you.
If you weren't to be here this year, I wouldn't have been able to meet you, and I think that would have been, a crime, certainly.
This is so much, so I'm going to take a moment and just get a refreshment. I will leave you two. And then deep curtsy to the both of them. Astrid turns around and
just briefly before you leave, I promise this will be the last, and I won't take any more of your time for now. The captain and I hosted an event after the ball at his townhouse. We are inviting many of those that are here in attendance, and I would be honored if you were to count yourself among those numbers.
JD, is this the thing?
It is.
It is the thing.
Okay,
yes.
All right. It's very kind of you. I will consider it. I had not intended on attending anything else. Thank you very much to the both of you for that very kind invitation.
Of course.
Good evening.
We're gonna let her go.
Yeah. Unicorns run away.
You can tell when someone's getting like, oh, like the all done buttons up here, and you're getting real close to pushing that.
What? Autism in my tabletop games?
Fantastic.
And I will say, Astrid, I think you kind of end up in a bit of consistently trying to avoid the seneschal, because following your dance with Mr. Dorian Black, Seneschal Julius Shaw definitely makes several attempts to get near to you, though I have a sense Astrid likely finds a way to be in a different place than where the Seneschal is going to be.
Yeah, there are probably moments where she finds herself like talking to Elise or like, talking about to Elise about paintings and what Elise has been painting lately. And
oh yeah, we're hanging out over by the punch bowl, ignoring everyone. We both do not want to be here. Like,
exactly. Or yeah, just
it's far too stressful. I'm gonna need a lot of punch.
Exactly. Very much Scott Pilgrim trying to like the opposite of Scott Pilgrim trying to get close to Ramona, during that first.
Just play that scene in reverse. That's what's happening here.
Yeah.
Incredible. We love to see it. And actually, with that, we are fast forwarding through the rest of the ball and into the night and going to the following morning, where we are going to pick up with our dear captain and where he is at this morning. Following the events of the after party, well, the opening ball, the after party, and everything that came along with that.
It was a day. Let's be clear. It was a full day of stress.
And then a full night.
And then a full night of more stress. And here we are, the morning after. So I think we're going to meet Fitz. He's been up and about for a while. In fact, I don't know that he ever actually slept.
I'm pretty sure he didn't. Based on everything you've described him doing, I don't think there was time.
No. So we'll find Fitz in his townhome in the gallery, which is absolutely destroyed. There are pictures and frames broken all over the floor. The servants have sort of like pushed them into a little discreet mound that we'll get rid of later, but he's standing in the midst of these ruins. He's had the servants bring out an easel, however, and there is a portrait on the easel, and he's examining it in a sort of absent-minded way. The portrait is a very good likeness of him. The artist was very skilled and talented, and it is, well, I will not name the artist, but it's a very good representation of Fitz, who is a very tall man. He's like 6'4", very sturdily built and lanky, long arms and legs. He's got a long aristocratic face. He is not clean shaven. He's got sideburns, and he's got very thick, wavy, almost curly, sort of strawberry blonde hair. He is dressed in his military uniform, which is a black overcoat, kind of all kinds of golden embroidery on it. He's got dark red pants and riding boots because he's in the cavalry. And he is currently sort of fiddling with a flower that's in a lapel, which is a lily of the valley. And he's just sort of looking at the portrait and thinking to himself. And I will say he's got a stack of 3 letters in his hand.
I would love, Alex, if you would be the first this evening to share some of those letters.
Fantastic. As he's looking at this portrait, as the camera sort of zooms in on him, he's actually singing a song very softly to himself. And he takes out a letter and reopens it. It's a letter that's clearly been opened a few times already, despite having only been delivered a couple hours ago. And I will read that letter at the moment when I find it. Let me see. I have a pinned message here. Okay. The letter reads, Fitz, I must apologize for my actions toward you this past evening. I appreciate your aid and above all your discretion, as I have found you to be a genuine gentleman and friend, and I must admit my shame that this is how your friendship has been repaid. I understand I have made of you an unwilling confidant, and as such I am determined to repay this favor in kind. Ours can be a lonesome and heavy burden, and if there is any way in which I may lend an ear to your benefit or a hand to your aid, you need only ask. I am truly sorry to have put you in such an unthinkable position. I value your friendship more than you know, and while I wholly understand should you wish to end such closeness, I must at least have you know that it may well be my greatest regret of the season. Forever in your debt, Elise. And then there is a postscript. Should you find yourself wishing to refill the walls of your gallery, I should be honored to donate the inaugural piece. And that may, in fact, be the portrait that we are looking at right now. And as Fitz is sort of scanning this letter, the camera comes in close enough to hear what he's singing. And he's singing an old song from the North. And it goes, "The judges said we missed it by a fraction. Rise up and brace your troops for the attack. Oh, the dreamers ride against the man of action. Oh, see the man of action falling back." And then he puts that letter in his coat, kind of shoos away the servants, and starts heading up to his library, where he's going to read several other letters. If JD will let me.
I will. Please keep spilling that tea.
All right, so Fitz is a person who walks with energy. Like, when he goes, he goes. And he's like walking through his townhouse and he's greeting his servants and he's like, "George, good morning, me old chap. How are you? Arm feeling ready for polo next week? Yes, I hope so. You're looking very fit. I love it. Mary, the biscuits this morning were perfect and the tea incredible." Just like a very sort of vibrant energy about him. And he like bounds up the steps to the second floor where his library is. And he will go in and the servants have already laid a fire in there. It's springish, so it's still a little chilly in this place. And he takes out a second letter, which also arrived this morning. And that letter I will also read. I'll try and make this fast. This one begins, "My dear Captain de Villiers, I must confess that your compliments moved me with your sweet sincerity. Attending your and Mr. Black's party has been the most fun I've had in far too long. I'm glad I listened to Mr. Deloso's encouragement to attend. If only you and I had been introduced sooner. Your earnest nature, kindness, and quiet passion burned bright enough to melt the ice of the frozen north. There is one point I must correct you on. I do not have a number of suitors. Ending an engagement with a member of royalty is no little matter, and does not instill faith that I wouldn't do the same to one of a different rank. It is why your intentions have left me speechless. That you do not hold my scandal against me speaks highly of your honor. Your heart is a treasure. Anyone would be lucky to earn your affections, myself included. On the matter of my broken engagement, I was the one that put an end to the relationship. The decision was mine alone. Prince Reynard strongly desired to marry me. He still does, though I cannot say for how much longer. It is a complicated situation. Please do not involve yourself with Prince Reynard. That he is the younger son doesn't make him less formidable than the rest of the family. What you shared with me is honestly a shock. I was unaware of your exact situation, and I have not heard a word about your father's intentions. My own father has never shared the detail of his maneuverings and connections with me. I suspect those are secrets he intends to share with my future spouse. My condolences on your situation. Unfortunately, I understand the pains of an inflexible father who believes he can never be wrong. Would that you had been blessed with a family worthy of your character. May you one day have a life free of walking on a blade's edge. Free from walking on edge. I hope you didn't feel pressured to share those secrets in order to prove yourself to me. I would have believed your confession on its own. Let me assure you that no one will learn of the words you have entrusted to me. Consider these vulnerable truths secured, my resolve and my silence the lock and key. Captain, I would be remiss if I didn't warn you of my situation. My father is still set on renewing engagement with Prince Reynard. I fear that any other suitor I pursue will draw his ire. How he will act on that, I don't know, and while I know Prince Reynard will be angry with me, I can only assume the same anger will be directed at he who would consider his competition. I mention this so you understand sharing affections with me will be no easy affair. You deserve better, or you deserve to have this information, make the best decision for yourself of your own free will. If what you now know has dissuaded you of these infections, then I will respect your decision as you have promised to respect mine. Regardless of what happens, it would bring me great joy to count you as my friend. Lady Rhiannon Carewood. And Fitz is still, like, sort of humming, singing to himself as he's reading this. And as he finishes this letter, he sings out that something else. I've gotten the lyrics to my song, so I will say that he sang them. And then there's a final letter, which is a little older. In fact, I think this one came the day before the ball, and I will read that one out. Being fast, I hope. Let's. All right, my dear Captain de Villiers, it is hard to believe that by the time this arrives, I will already be in London selecting my ensemble for your party. So many letters between the two of us have crossed my desk since the first. I feel I have come to know you better than, perhaps, any other individual for the past 3 seasons. This, I think, is a true testament to your, apologies, my English fails me, your vulnerability. I have learned so much about you, and by the same token, you me, I hope. I would like our relationship to continue even once we are both in London. I pray you know you may speak to me of anything, and should you find yourself in any situations too complex or difficult, I further pray you will not hesitate to reach out. And of course, I can't wait to hear of your many valiant deeds since your last letter. Your faithful servant, Miss Abigail Donatelli. And when he finishes reading that letter, Fitz looks up at a portrait that's above the fire, which is a portrait of his father, General Horatio de Villiers. And Horatio is a wolfishly handsome man, we'll say, in a very well-cut military uniform. And Fitz sort of looks down at the letter, and then he looks up, and his face is much darker. His eyes are catching the firelight, and there's something else in his eyes when he's reading this one, and he looks up at his father. And he looks down at the letter, looks up again, and says, Sanguis et ignis, which is the family motto. And then he nods and says, for you, father. And he tears Abigail's letter up and hucks it in the fire without a second thought. And then he tucks all of the letters remaining in his coat and walks out, ready for the day, his genial, sort of pleasant mask back on.
Incredible.
I believe you were being sent with a letter.
I was.
To give to your sister. You don't have to read it. I'll read it.
Okay.
But yes, because we wanted to get something to the winter court. But
I will say that Fitz has already been to his sister's and back at this point.
Okay.
So
that's delivered that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool beans.
Would you like to read that letter, though, Q?
I would love to, actually.
I would love for you to read that letter.
Let's see. Which one of you did I send it to most recently? Here it is. To the illustrious majesties of the winter court. Hope this letter finds you both in good health on this fair day. I write to you in the hopes of seeing to the well-being of the good Prince Reynard. I noticed some behaviors from him when he visited Captain de Villiers' townhouse last night that were cause for some concern. I've heard much in regards to his flawless adherence to courtly etiquette, and yet what I was shown in our first meeting seems to conflict with these claims. It appears the prince was in some distress after seeing Lady Carewood, and I assume he left in great haste, so neither I nor the captain were aware of his departure. If it pleases you both, the captain and myself would like to know that the prince has been home and is well. I'm certain that this first night was nothing more than pre-seasonal jitters. With kind regards, Dorian Black and Captain Fitzgerald de Villiers.
Absolutely incredible.
JD, I know we talked about what happened between Fitz and his sister, but is there more tea I need to spill here?
No.
Okay. Love it.
No, there isn't. And so with that, we're going to actually move back to Miss Elise Clarendon, the morning after the after party. I would like to know where we find Elise and what letters they may have received.
So, oh man. So I think Elise is also in the party of has not slept. I think that is not for want of trying. But you know, it was a late night and much had happened, and I think they had attempted to, you know, go back to their quarters and clean up and get some sleep, and they just couldn't seem to do it. So they do what they have done for probably the past few weeks when this happens, and it is wont to happen, which is to go quite early to the kitchens. To this, what is usually a staff only sort of situation, although Elise has clearly no respect for that such delineations. So you know they're in there, you know, making a cup of tea or just kind of having a walk to, you know, clear their head or something. And when that proves unhelpful, we would find Elise Clarendon as the staff comes in for the morning to prepare breakfast. Elise is sat on sort of an unused portion of the countertop, with like probably like a bowl in one hand and like several sprigs of rosemary, just like trying to like prep herbs for the day, be helpful in some way, but mostly just something repetitive that they can just sit and think, and not really have to like talk to people quite yet. And there is a cup of tea that has gone gone very cold and untouched. Like it is still, the dark tea at the bottom is still unjostled, and the top of the tea is still clear. Like they put the tea in and have not picked it back up. But it is there. And that is where we find Elise in the morning. And they do have a few letters that they were not quite expecting, which are, you know, tucked up in their room, but they are ruminating on them heavily. And let me see if I can find those. Here we are. So the first one is very very short, very sweet, and had a small package attached to it. And if I may, would you like? Should it please the court?
It would please the court.
Excellent. So the first letter that they've received is addressed, Dear Lady Clarendon. I shall keep this brief. I should thank you. I was entirely too nervous showing to a party as a new member of court, even informal as it was, and you were able to silence that anxiety rather quickly with your presence. I was all but bordering on frosting the entire garden had you not shown, and for that I am eternally indebted and grateful. As a token of my appreciation, you shall find an unmelting snowflake, the trademark of my family. I had a fantastic evening chatting and dancing with you, and your turning up to the rooftop after my encounter with Lady Carewood was a favor more grand than I'm sure you know. I look forward to seeing any studio you may be keeping in the castle, and I should like to take you up on that tour soon. With absolute sincerity, Lady Octavia Frostpin of the Winter Court. And in that small package, and probably currently pinned to the apron that Elise wears, she's not in court clothes this morning. She is in a very, very plain for being in the palace, even as a staff member, sort of outfit with, you know, the long apron and a bit of a kerchief around her neck. And so pinned to her dress is a quite ornate but natural snowflake with a very complex design and a gentle icy blue tint, which is enclosed in a glass locket. And that is just sort of pinned there and sort of, tinking every once in a while when they move the bowl back and forth to do their little tasks. And there was an additional letter that was probably delivered as they were coming down to the kitchens a bit later in the morning, and it is delivered by a servant from a house that Elise is quite familiar with. Greets them by name, and the paper is of a very high quality, rich, cream colored sheet of handmade paper. The letter is addressed in black and gold ink, and it is reading the following. It is addressed simply Elise. I have written and discarded several letters for you, each worse than the last. I find myself at a loss for what to say or how to ensure you understand the depths of my feeling. You are so dear to me and such an excellent friend, and yet my pen and my tongue are rendered twisted and clumsy with thoughts I don't fully know how to express. There are 1,000 things I want to tell you, 10,000 I want to ask you. My emotions are confused like a whirlwind. My heart is buffeted by thoughts of you. Your well-being, your safety, I would trade everything I possess to know that you are safe. I wish I had more of a chance to speak with you this evening, although I understand your need for distance and space. I further understand that there are things you cannot tell me, and I respect that. Someday, I hope we find ourselves in a position where you are able to take me more fully into your confidence. Until then, please know that I will always be your ally. I will provide you with any assistance, carry any burden, be whatever support you require. You will never need to offer any explanation. Your word and your desire will always be enough for me. You must also know that whatever I may have seen tonight will remain always locked in my heart, and I should sooner die than reveal anything that would cause you pain or embarrassment. While that moment now lives seared into my memory, a moment I will never forget so long as I live, it will always remain between us, should you wish it so. You have my word, not only as a gentleman, but as your friend who loves you more than he can ever express. I will leave off here lest I bore you to death with an unending novel, but know that I am and always will be your most constant friend. I eagerly look forward to when we can see one another. Yours till the last star falls, Fitz. And with this letter was also a package, a bit larger, a small square box, wrapped very plainly in paper, and tied in a little blue ribbon. And inside is a pristine polo ball, wrapped in a sheet of paper. And the paper reads the following short note. Midnight, Palace Stables. The ball is in your court. And they have been ruminating on both of those letters all morning, although they are safely tucked in their quarters.
Absolutely beautiful. And while we will move away from Elise for the moment, we will definitely be returning back to them. But first, we are going to be going to Astrid and what Astrid is doing this morning, as well as any letters they may have received.
Well, considering Astrid didn't go to a party, she woke up fresh. No, I'm joking. So
I mean, that's also fair.
I mean, well, she didn't go to the party, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she awakes well rested. And ready to tackle the next day. In fact, she stayed up half the night anxiously embroidering pretty much anything that she could get a needle and thread through, trying to take the anxiety of being around such failure again and having to do everything she could to mask the anguish she felt inside. Facing Julian again, but also kind of contending with the fire in her belly that has kind of started to light, remembering the presence of Dorian's hand on the small of her back as they danced last night. but she knows it's still too early to consider to put all of her eggs in one basket and to dive fully into anything. There's still many options, hopefully. But Dorian's intriguing, Dorian's like unlike anybody else that has been in this town. And really, truly, very opposite of everything Julian represented. But she has sent along a letter to Dorian. She's also spending her morning writing letters to other folks that she saw at the ball, but didn't have time last night in her rush of emotion and coming down from it all to really feel ready to engage in any other sort of like social activity. However, she did receive, actually not too long after returning, a bird similar to a raven. I don't know how this is pronounced. A chuff, a chew, a chuck.
I think we established it was a chuff last time. I think.
Okay.
Steph, correct me if I'm wrong.
I've never heard of this bird ever. So we're learning new birds.
We are.
Brennan would be so proud.
Yes. With a red bill and legs. It carried a small folded square of paper sealed with green wax, but no crest. And it's the bird like just taps on the window to get Astrid's attention before flying off. And this letter is from Rhiannon. Yeah. The letter says, hold on, I'm opening it up. And my computer does not like documents. So hold on.
It is a beautiful dramatic pause as we get the reveal.
We're unfolding it in real time. The paper,
yes.
The seal.
I use a Mac, and this was written in Word doc. So hold on. We're okay. Here we are. It says, "Dear Miss Primer, you will forgive me if this letter is presumptuous. I will try to keep this brief. Rumors fly like so many pages scattered to the wind. It makes it hard to find the truth of the matter for those who have not read each one. But neither are they entitled to a truth that doesn't concern them. From one dutiful daughter to another, I can understand the difficulties in meeting parents' expectations, how frustrating it is to try your best and still be found lacking in their eyes. It can be made worse when you're on your own. If you're displeased with the hand you're expected to play, then I'd like to offer the chance to reshuffle the deck. I may be limited in what I can do, but if there is something you need me to acquire or someone you wish me to write to on your behalf, I will do what is in my power to assist. You likely question why I would suddenly offer my help. My scandal last year left me with much time to reflect this past winter. I decided against following the path my father set out for me. It has been difficult, but I believe I've made the best decision for myself. I recognize that not everyone has the luxury of taking that risk. There are things that I'm still coming to terms with, but you have always carried such a sweet disposition, and that is difficult to nurture under the weight of expectations. Say the word, and I will write to whoever you wish, or obtain something you need, be it a book or trinket. I cannot say how successful I'll be, but I do not know if it'll matter that I tried. But you deserve to have someone to put your interests first, if your family is lacking in that ability. Yours in confidence, Rhiannon." And that is something. Yeah. Astrid, that night, when Astrid read it the first time upon returning from the ball, they didn't think anything of it, put the letter on their side table, and just tore off their gown, their chemise, all of it, and just went straight to bed. The next morning, she grabs the letter and several other sheets of paper and gets down to writing letters to others. The first one she writes to Dorian is very well, Dorian can read it if he wishes, but but she knows she has to respond to Rhiannon and consider sending one to Julian. Thinks about it. But she knows that if she doesn't at least spend some part of her morning writing letters, she's going to be getting hell from her parents. I mean, they already pretty much have their letter to the nunnery done. They just need to send it off whenever they've decided to send her off.
And I think with that, Astrid is the first among your group that is informed that, well, for Astrid, she has been invited to join the spring court for a horseback ride as part of the event of the season this very afternoon.
This is the first event she's been invited to. Everything with the Seneschal last season was arranged between her parents and the Seneschal, and the weight of expectation, like Rhiannon said, is a rough burden to bear. And it's hard to fall in love and when you know you're just a bargaining chip. Oop, we lost Alex. Alex is back. Okay. But how does she learn about the invitation?
I want to say one of your siblings brings it to you. Your parents have been somewhat freezing you out and limiting their engagement with you, but one of your siblings comes and doesn't so much say anything as just hands you the invitation.
It's with absolute incredulity that Astrid takes the invitation from their siblings' hands, and as they accept it, the invitation is shaking with the excitement and nervousness that is running through Astrid's entire body. But upon reading the invitation, the same quiet, soft smile that graced Astrid's lips when Dorian invited her to a dance last night falls upon her face. She, in her mind, accepts the invitation and will be present.
And that is so beautiful that I think that is where we are going to pause and take our break, because that is a perfect moment, and we will be going to Dorian and the letters that he received as we start up before this group heads out to the residence of the Spring Court and has a chance to go horseback riding and get up to whatever escapades 4 individuals in this season may get up to in the woods. And so with that, we'll be back in 10 minutes. We will take a break. We invite all of you to take a break and definitely be here when we return for the second part of tonight's episode, which is going to get extra, extra spicy.
I don't know what's happening, but I don't watch wrestling, but I know fuck Vince McMahon.
Oh, it's a wrestling thing?
Hard. Yeah, get rid of that motherfucker.
Do we like that guy or do we not
No.
like that guy?
No,
Like,
we don't like that guy.
Biggest piece of
Okay,
shit.
fucking then.
Biggest piece of shit.
You know, like
Listen, I don't know
the
wrestling, but I know you guys, and so I trust your wrestling judgment.
That is fair. That is 110% fair, and it would not be Live for the Apocalypse if we didn't jump back in the middle of a rant about some sort of subject, in this case, wrestling and Vince McMahon.
It's my favorite thing,
I'm on
honestly.
purpose at this point.
And
Oh,
so...
wait. Are we live? And
We
were
are
talking about...
We did it. We
We are
did it.
live.
It's how we always do it. It's how we always do it.
Sorry, I'll leave.
I think it's my favorite thing. I think, yeah.
And so with this, when we come back, we actually begin following a figure leaving the Donatelli residence. He is tall and has blood red hair and eyes the color of mirrored glass. They wear the garb of a priest right down to the collar, and we pan forward to see the third of the cathedrals that we did not see in our opening session. This one is made of jet black stone, perhaps obsidian, but each piece pulses with light that appears almost trapped inside. Thank you for the follow.
Yay!
The colors of the light range from red to golden to purple to blue, and while the building is in the shape of a cross, it is inverted. The stained glass on this cathedral is filled with images of demonic-looking figures, but also figures who, for all intents and purposes, look human. Human beings being elevated, perhaps above their stations, of getting their heart's desires, of gaining power. And this is the Infernal Church, led by High Priest Father Ashley Donovan, who pauses on the steps as his hand rests on the metal of the front door, and they just smile to themselves before stepping inside. And now we are going to jump over to Mr. Dorian Black and what he is up to this morning, and the at least 2 letters that I know of that he has.
At least 2. And I think I might want to send one that we will be doing off the cuff because I forgot to do the thing. It's fine. Anyway.
I'll allow it.
Dorian is having a late breakfast. He's been up for a while, but he has been working on sort of establishing himself in the business sector of London. He's making money moves, as it were. So he's been at that and has forgotten to eat until now, which is also when he has the chance to catch up on the letters that he's received. He sent one out earlier. That one was of some importance, so that one needed to go out to the Winter Court post haste. There's one that he's received in a very flowing script. It says, "To the dearest Mr. Dorian Black, it was a true pleasure to make your acquaintance last night during the ball. Meeting someone new in our sleepy, tight-knit kingdom is a luxury we are not often afforded here. But I, to have been granted the gift of your presence for 2 dances, lit something inside me I haven't felt in my 4 years of society. Please do not view my hesitance to linger or attend the after-party per your invitation as disinterest. If we are treated the opportunity to cross paths again over the next few months, it would be a delight to get to learn about you and your travels. Perhaps we could share stories over dinner sometime, if that suits your sensibilities." And that is, "Please know the depths of my gratitude for last night with this favor. Sincerely yours, Lady Astrid Primer." And with that letter, there was a kerchief that has my silhouette embroidered on it, which is lovely. He holds on to that, sort of holds the kerchief to his face, takes in the scent of it, takes in the design. He puts that in his breast pocket, and then he reads the second letter. He is by himself, so he doesn't have to worry about prying eyes seeing over his shoulder.
Whose eyes would you be worried about, Dorian? Whose eyes?
Don't even worry about it. It's fine. Amato mio, B. The good captain won't be a problem. I've now seen him at his lowest, and I did not flinch. Truly, it was a sight to behold. I have no doubt every member of his family is at least as volatile and dangerous as he is. But all the more reason to bring our own wild dog to heel, don't you think? I'm sure one or both of us will have him firmly in hand before the season ends. Indeed, the artist is of some interest to father. Miss Clarendon, I believe? Did not have occasion to speak with her at the party, sadly, but I'm quite sure you did. You've always been the more approachable of the two of us. We would do well to keep her close to us, if possible. Find out what she desires most, and if that answer can be you, well, even better. Rhiannon Carewood is useless unless she can be brought out from under father's boot heel. But the effect she has on the prince is fascinating. I plan to consult with someone very close to the Lady Carewood, someone who knows all her secrets and will willingly give them up to me. But I have not yet learned all of the details. I will not give her to the prince, however. We will find other ways of making him pliable. I will keep my eye on the Deloso boy. You keep an eye on this Lady Primer. I prefer to wield them as a sword and a shield, but a flawed blade will not last in combat, as you and I both know. It will shatter. We may have to remove Carmen Deloso before someone gets cut by accident. I'm hopeful your efforts with Lady Primer prove more fruitful. I will not rest until you are free. I am weary of this place already, weary of writing letters and being apart. I long for simpler times, when we were alone, just the two of us, against the world. For now, let's keep the masks on, at least until it burns. A.
Watching everybody's facial journeys was incredible. I will be honest, that was the moment I was going to go on break, but I was like, we need a break before this. So I thought that was the perfect moment for us to open on.
That is very fair. Now, I believe I won't do the other letter. I'm not going to.
Okay.
I have other things that I need to do. No more letters. I think that's good.
That's an option?
That can be an option. That can be an option. We will allow it. And I think with that, with each of your permissions, we do move forward with each one of you. Well, the invitations come to the townhouse, so they reach both Fitz and Dorian at approximately the same time. Lady Primer has already received theirs, and Micah, in fact, brings your invitation to you, Elise.
I thought they might.
They do. What words do you have for them, if any, this morning?
I don't think Elise does not speak first. If the good sovereign has words for them, which I'm sure they do, they will let their highness speak first. They have given looks that have said everything that they need said.
That is very fair, and as anticipated, Micah does have some words for you, though perhaps not the words that you're expecting. Because they walk in clearly, well, you have been brought to a study, as is pretty customary when the two of you are meeting. And when they come in, they hold the invitation in their hand and seem, in a lot of ways, very much just on a mission to deliver the invitation to you and perhaps still say something, because you can see that there is commentary they would like to share on your performance the previous day, but they pause and wrinkle their nose and ask, "Why do you smell of werewolf?"
I think Elise knows enough to know that that was a potential that werewolf was a potential thing. I don't think they quite put the word to the person yet in their mind. So they, give pause for a second because they were expecting to, be berated for attending the after party or for being so curt at the presentation, any number of things that Micah could pick on them about. So they just kind of pause, look up, and then sort of it clicks, and they just sort of give the polite nod, which is probably they deserve more because this is the sovereign, but they're not going to get it when they're in private company. And they just say there were many individuals at the presentation. There were many individuals at the ball. I cannot account for the heritage and whereabouts of every single one of them. My apologies.
And Micah sighs like you've disappointed them and says, "Elise, by now you should know better than to lie to me."
You should know me well enough to ask the questions you wish an answer to.
And I did ask. I asked, why did you feed on a werewolf?
I did not know what he was at the time. I did not know that was off limits, more so than the simple matter of the thing. It was not how I wanted my night to go, Your Highness.
And so, you know this werewolf?
I do. I know many people in the Ton. I was not aware that there were limits on those I could make acquaintance with.
And so there are not, though feeding on them is another matter entirely.
As I said, it was not the plan of the evening. Circumstances were extenuating, to say the least. I did my best not to make a scene, and I would appreciate at least acknowledgement of that fact. No one knew. No one saw.
Except for this individual.
This individual can be trusted. He does not know the extent of my condition. He does not ask. That is not my secret to give, and I have told you I'm again, but I will not. Serves me no purpose.
Well, I trust you will conduct yourself with a bit more grace this afternoon. You have been invited to the residence of the Spring Court to attend a horseback ride with some of the others who are out this season.
I think for a moment there's confusion and maybe like unease, and then they say horseback ride. And they Lise looks a bit more amiable to the prospect. It should be my duty then to attend, should it not?
It should. And to ensure that you conduct yourself in an appropriate manner, as well as due to some other matters, Seneschal Shaw will be traveling with you as your escort.
I suppose it would be inappropriate for me to go without one.
It would, and I, of course, cannot be there, but I trust the Seneschal to be my eyes in my stead.
And yet you had no issue inserting yourself in my presentation?
Well, it would not have been appropriate for Seneschal Shaw to present you.
Surely some member of the staff or someone... I could have written to my parents had you told me. You have to realize the target you've put on my back, Your Highness. If you want me to fly under the radar, this is not the way to do it. And there's not necessarily as much malice as there was the day before. It is a bit more honest and fearful.
And if I did not think you could navigate the complexities of the court and that target being placed on you, I would not have done what I did. It would have had to happen sooner or later.
It has been done. Not much more could be done to change that. I suppose I should get changed.
And with that, Sovereign Micah does take his leave, their leave, although you are informed of when you will be expected to be present at the carriage to join Seneschal Shaw heading to this event.
I think when they leave, Elise does do the appropriate stand and bow and wait and wait and then sit. Oh my God. Just never ends, does it? And then they will continue on with their day.
And so before we go to the two in the townhouse, for Astrid, who, if anyone, is accompanying them to this event as a chaperone or escort?
I don't have to ride with them.
You do not.
Okay, God bless. Thank you.
I mean, it would be a bit unusual, but you do not. Perfect. And what of those two in the townhouse?
Fitz,
Dorian.
did you get an invite to the spring court?
Yes, we're going riding. He says very
Good.
excitedly, like brandishing the invitation.
Good. I don't have to worry about you being my +1.
Always. Come. I do have to get Douglas, though. So if you want to run ahead, I'll catch you up, or you're free to take the carriage.
I don't mind waiting.
Wonderful. So I do think that Fitz will have to go get his horse, which is the only horse he can ride, which is a gigantic, mean, like, just all black stallion named Douglas, who will bite or trample anyone else who comes near them, but not Fitz.
Alex, you outmaneuvered me. You were definitely going to have to roll for keeping your cool if you had to choose one of the fairy mounts, but you do not. So
No, sir. It's me and Douglas, ride or die.
you bypass that. All right. So Fitz is retrieving his horse.
Douglas.
Douglas.
Please. He has a name.
I will make sure to use it as many times as I can. And how is Dorian going to then be traveling if your fellow is traveling on horseback?
I will probably take the carriage because, I'm not going to just take my own. I don't have a horse.
I feel like as we're riding, though, it's like Dorian is in the carriage and Fitz is just like riding alongside so they can still chat like through the window.
Absolutely. It only seems fair.
Wouldn't want you to feel left out.
I do appreciate that. If you could keep Douglas just a little bit further ahead.
Oh, sorry.
I don't want him to catch sight of me and take offense.
I understand. You are not personally offensive. He is.
Yes. No, we've determined this. He's mean and surly. I get it.
I feel like as we're riding, there's also moments where Fitz is just like calling out to various people that he knows. And it's like, George, good morning. How's the family? Glad to hear it. Billy, still an urchin, I see. Wonderful. Still selling those broadsides. Excellent. Flip him a coin.
Incredible.
You could give him a job, right?
Me? No, certainly couldn't afford it.
How often do you give him a coin? Every day?
Every morning, yes.
I just need you to think about that for like 3 extra seconds.
Fitz actually does. You see him stare into the sky for a moment, and he's like, well, I mean, I suppose we could use another chimney sweep.
Sure.
Billy, come here. JD, were you prepared to be an urchin child?
I can be an urchin child. I would love to be an urchin child.
Okay, just in terms of speeding things along, I will absolutely hire Billy as our +1 chimney sweep, because we already have 1, but 2 is fine.
Absolutely.
Hello, sir. Yes, sir.
Glad to
What
hear
can I
it.
do for you?
Sweep the chimneys, lad. Go talk to our other chimney sweep. Frank.
Where do you live, sir?
Townhouse, just down the way.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Just knock until you find my house. They won't mind.
Hey, hold on, kid. They're going to give him a little piece of paper with the address on it. Go there.
Not every house?
Not every house.
Okay, just this house.
Yes.
I can do that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Billy. Vince.
And Billy runs off.
Have you slept?
What?
Have you slept?
Sleep? No. Sleep is for the week and
That's
the
about
weekend.
what I thought.
Okay. No. And Fitz is very much doing the I am exhausted, but I am going to project out even more energy into the world because maybe that'll do it.
It won't. All right. Yeah, so to the party we go.
And so with that, one by one, you do each arrive at the Fey residence. And For those of you where it is not your first season, you would know that this residence changes hands as the season changes. So winter, very recently, was placed here. Now the spring court has taken residence. It is a castle on over 500 acres of land with a low stone wall marking its border. Trees also surround the perimeter, keeping it safe and secure from prying eyes. And the castle is sleek and elegant with spired towers, vines and moss growing along most of it. And there are hundreds of rooms inside for any who have had the opportunity to attend one of the revels here. You will not be spending much time inside, though. What matters more are the stable with the variety of horses and other fairy mounts, the kennel for hunting dogs, and a rose-covered pavilion that overlooks a swimming pond. The gardens are lush with primrose and snowdrops, tulips and crocuses, and many of those flowers have started to wind their way over the exterior of the castle itself. You see, as you pull up, and we'll figure out which one of you arrives first. I am imagining it may very well be Miss Elise Clarendon and the Seneschal. But one of the first things you notice, perhaps Elise doesn't since they are newer to this, but anyone who has been around high society for a while, is that typically you would be greeted by the highest ranking of those staying in this location, namely the king and queen of the spring court. However, they are not standing there, greeting those as they arrive. The person who is standing there is the gender fluid princess or prince. You can tell today that princess would be the appropriate honorific for her. She is dark-skinned and has short pink hair and white flowers tucked behind her ears and is dressed in a pale green gown that really does not look like it would be conducive to the activities of today, unless she plans to ride side saddle, perhaps. Her eyes are a beautiful violet and are highlighted in makeup in shades of blue. And Elise, well, you would perhaps not realize the strangeness of Princess Xavier's parents not standing there. You would notice that Seneschal Shaw is even more all business than he typically is. He has not talked with you much. He clearly has something on his mind.
I do not think Elise would pry for that information. Elise is perfectly happy to sit in silence with the good seneschal. I imagine Elise has been prepped on the members of the royal families around here. Plenty would recognize this is, so, bows, curtsies all around. It's all smiles and politeness and pageantry. But no, she does not worry about speaking with the seneschal. She gets the vibe, and she's perfectly content to leave it at that.
In that, I think what would surprise Elise more is that after the two of you have greeted Princess Xavier, and Princess Xavier greets you exuberantly, very energetic and happy to see you, the seneschal looks to her and asks, where are the king and queen? And Princess Xavier says, oh, they are inside with the regents of the Winter Court. And her mood drops a bit at that. You see a definite shift. And Seneschal Shaw just says, understood. It is an honor as always to see you again, Princess Xavier, and then looks to Elise and says, Miss Clarendon, I trust you will be on your best behavior. And without waiting for you to respond, just walks inside the castle, when you are clearly meant to stay outside with the other guests who are mingling as they prepare for the upcoming horseback ride.
This is perhaps the ideal outcome. I do not enjoy being babysat by the seneschal, and any excuse to do away with that is plenty okay with Elise. I do think that I don't know that cold is the right word, but proper and prying, perhaps, as the seneschal has been, I think Elise meets the princess's energy with equally excited and, it's pageantry, but it is also like genuine excitement under that. And, he walks away, the seneschal walks away, and I think Elise is, still sort of like, obviously she has to let other people come up, but she will, give the biggest, most genuine curtsy. And well, it has been an honor to make your acquaintance, Your Highness. And I think the day will be just fine with you presiding.
And Princess Xavier says, "You are too kind, Miss Clarendon."
Only as kind as is deserved. I will let you do it.
And you are able to go and mingle with some of the others who are awaiting the rest of the arrival of the guests and the upcoming ride in the woods.
She does mingle. She is eyeing the stables like she would rather be there, but it is proper to mingle with the guests first. There will be time for horses later.
And what a shame that a certain stable hand is not at this particular stable.
As I couldn't expect them to be.
And Astrid, when you arrive, how do you greet Princess Xavier?
I avoid. Sorry, I'm sorry if you heard my husband making frustrated baseball sounds. Okay. I believe his team is losing. Okay.
Unclear.
Sorry. So Astrid.
Amazing.
We've all been there.
Yep.
I'm sorry. So Astrid, upon leaving the carriage, I think is very cognizant of both the joy of finally being invited to one of the events, and has worn her absolute best riding attire. Wanting to fit in, to feel like she actually does belong to be on this ride with everybody, but also knowing that this is like her last shot. So when she does arrive to greet the princess, she curtsies an appropriate amount for the princess, desperately trying not to meet her eyes, just in case that is considered rude or out of line, but is very just thank you so much for honoring me with your presence. I I hope we have kind skies and an even more pleasant ride today. And then kind of titters off to wherever else people are gathering.
And before you do, Astrid, Princess Xavier reaches out and takes your hand. And you would know this is actually Princess Xavier's first season. So she is brand new to this.
Oh.
And she doesn't in any way force you to meet her eyes, but she does clasp your hand in hers and says, "It is I who is honored by your presence."
That is very kind of you to say. However, I do not deserve such kind words as those that you are pointing in my direction, but I hope to earn the praise that you are that I've been lauded with. I think this might be a runaway roll.
That is fair. That is fair. Please roll. Yes, our first roll of the night.
Hold on. That is going to be
That is going
volatile.
to. Yep.
Oh, fuck me, dude. That's a 13. I rolled a 6 and a
Incredible.
5. And +2 to volatile.
Amazing.
I guess you're running.
Yes, you are
Yeah.
definitely running, which is amazing. I think what happens there is, as you're talking, Astrid, you feel warmth, almost like a sunbeam, coming through your hand from where it is being clasped. And that still is not enough. And it may even be like what sparks Astrid to then run.
Yeah, it's more like being at the ball last night was overwhelming, but to be in the presence of the princess, after having been invited, it's so much. It's just so much, all at once. And so I hope she hopes that running away isn't being interpreted as rude, more so as just being super fucking nervous.
And I would say that the vibe you have gotten so far from Princess Xavier is that she likely will not take offense to this. She certainly does not try to stop you. She releases your hand, and if anything, you get the sense, she will sort of wait on you to initiate the next interaction. And so with that, we have our final two. One of you coming in with Douglas, the other coming in a carriage.
Yep.
I think because of the way we relate, I think Fitz, as soon as we get to where we need to be, like jumps off of Douglas and opens the door for Dorian to get out of the carriage and gives a little like to help you down.
Oh, you're too kind. Dorian will take it, of course.
And then I assume that we head to greet our host, because that is only polite. That is what you do when you arrive at a person's residence, is you greet them.
You greet
exactly.
them,
yes.
And
that is typically what one does.
Mm-hmm.
And you say goodbye when you leave. Those are those are two things that you do.
Proper etiquette. Yeah.
Damn, this tea's really hot. That's weird. Anyway.
I think Fitz would gesture for Dorian to address the princess first.
But he's already moving forward, so that works out. Your Highness, it's a great pleasure to meet you. Hold out a hand.
She'll take it.
Bow. Kiss hands respectfully, We're honored by the invitation. Look forward to a very, very enjoyable ride.
It is a pleasure to see you again, Mr. Dorian Black. And it's possible you might have danced with her the previous night.
Possibly.
It is possible.
It's Prince. Sorry, that it's like almost in his head, mostly in his head.
What was that, Mr. Black?
Nothing at all. I do apologize. Stables that away.
And at that point, you actually see that already there are stable hands coming up to meet Fitz to ensure that Douglas is kept with the other horses, the other mounts.
No, do not do that. Do not do that. Fitz, I think, is going to step in and do a very abbreviated, like, very sharp salute and bow and say, Your Highness, damn chuffed to be here. Very excited for this. But if you'll excuse me, I really want to make sure my horse does not kill your servants. And then he's just going to go.
And Princess Xavier is just going to say, yes, of course, and then look at Dorian and ask, is the captain always like that?
No, normally he slept.
It was an exciting day yesterday.
It was, and an exciting evening. And that excitement has merely rolled over. I'm sure with this ride, he'll be tuckered out enough to actually get some rest this evening. At least that's the hope. That's the idea.
I was going to say we can hope so. I would very much like to see him being more himself again.
Fitz has gone halfway there and has turned over his shoulder, remembering etiquette, is like, very good to meet you.
Likewise.
I look forward to speaking with the two of you more as the day progresses.
Likewise. Perhaps I'm still new to high society. Perhaps with your help, I could learn the sort of intricacies of etiquette.
I mean, I'm a princess and I'm still learning myself.
Well,
But I would love to teach you.
You have a great deal more grace than I. So I look forward to it. He's going to bow again and then head off.
And so, Fitz, you have the opportunity to get Douglas situated in the stables.
There are several berths or stalls around him for safety. Everyone's.
That is able to be accommodated. And as the four of you wait for the ride to commence, what do you do?
I mean, if I see Astrid, I'm going to go say hi to Astrid.
You definitely see Astrid.
Fantastic.
I don't know that Fitz specifically has it in mind that Elise would be there, but if he sees them, there's like a look. And then maybe some like slow sidling. Like he's moving through the crowd being like, oh yeah, good to see you. Fantastic, has been a while. You're looking very, very fine this morning, blah, blah, blah. And then just like getting himself to a position where they can talk.
Is he sidling towards a secondary location? Is that what's happening?
No.
Fitz never go to a secondary location.
No,
it's
never
just like
go to the secondary
view,
location.
or is it like a stables? Yeah, now.
Yeah, it's more like I assume there's a crowd or we have some space and it's like he's just moving to get
I'm on my way. Don't worry about
it.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I think Elise is also like making, polite acquaintances and talking about the weather and the flowers and the etc. But like catches Fitz and is like, oh, absolutely, 100%. Please save me.
And we will follow Fitz and Elise in just a moment. But before, I would love to hear what Dorian's interaction with Astrid looks like.
Much like Fitz, Dorian walks with purpose whenever he's going somewhere, but it's not the high frenetic, like the high frenetic energy that Fitz is. His is that just very careful confidence. So he's just walking straight towards Astrid.
Astrid's standing on the sidelines, much like you would find any awkward person at a party that doesn't know how to mingle. She's wearing like she's wearing leather gloves to like protect her hands from whatever bridle that she would probably be gripping. What once we finally get onto the horses,
Right.
and just kind of she has one glove worn, the other she's like nervously like fiddling with, like pulling it, ringing it. Yeah, watching the people pass. Yeah, just very like idle. And also pointedly trying not to look at the seneschal because she was not prepared for the seneschal to be here at all.
And thankfully, I was going to say, thankfully, he is nowhere in sight.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you haven't seen him yet. At least I hope not.
Yeah.
Dorian is wearing they're certainly new, but they are definitely like American style, like riding clothes. This is not British style. He has chosen to stand out. And so as he's moving forward, the crowds are moving around him, and he's just coming straight towards Lady Prima.
Mr. Dorian, good afternoon to you. How was the rest of your evening?
It was quite enjoyable, though I was sad to not have your presence.
Well, I'm sure you found yourself surrounded by scores more interesting personalities. But I appreciate the sentiment all the same. I hope.
More interesting? Certainly not.
You flatter me.
You're worth the flattery.
She changes the subject immediately. Are you excited for this ride?
I am. Looking forward to seeing what creatures we might ride. I was told the Fae have a bit of whimsy to them.
Who knows what magic sparks will... magic will spark as we mount these steeds. That's not the way that I thought it was going to come out. I do apologize for my impropriety.
No apologies necessary. Listen, I'm still new to all this. That was just comedy to me. Nothing improper about it. I got your letter.
Thank you. I'm glad it made it there intact.
As am I. And I would like to accept an invitation. Hope it's all right.
My heart is racing.
I hope it's all right if I do this in person.
Do what?
Accept in person.
Oh, yes, of course. No. We don't. Had I had the courage, no. Yes, it is absolutely acceptable for you to accept in person. Yes.
Wonderful. Tomorrow? Or this evening, perhaps?
Tomorrow is perfectly fine. I don't know if we'll be... I don't know if we'll have the energy for a tete-a-tete after this ride. Again, who knows what the Fae might bring.
Well, I can only speak for myself personally, but I've got some stamina.
Is Q rolling to turn us all on? What is going on here?
Holy shit!
I'm feeling that roll.
Came to be the problem on purpose. I told you from the beginning.
And so with that, Q, is that intent to turn Astrid on?
I mean, yeah, obviously.
All right, then roll with hot.
Okay. I don't remember. Okay, I don't remember.
2d6 plus hot.
I know what the roll is. I forget this. I've just been here fucking vibing, my dude.
You forgot there were dice as a part of this game.
There was a sheet. I was like, oh yeah, I need to have that somewhere, don't I?
I mean, there's mechanics and not just drama?
Right.
I just ran Monsterhearts, so like the mechanics are front of mind for me. So
that is fair. All right, hold on. I gotta find this out, bro.
I feel like I need to adjust everything if this is where we're going. Damn, okay.
I'm just gonna preemptively get this back out and
Okay, 7 plus.
I'm here writing a letter to Rhiannon. Damn.
I think it's a 9.
All right. So, Amber, you can you have a couple of reactions you can choose from, or you can give him a string.
I promise something I think you want. A date tomorrow over dinner.
Excellent.
Incredible.
Or sorry, I don't know. Is date the term they used? I don't know. Yes,
Yeah.
a date tomorrow over dinner. Yes.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to it.
And I too.
Shall we find our mounts?
After you.
Hold it. Arm. And we're gonna head towards the stables. I'm done waiting.
That is very fair. And so the two of you, as well as some others, are making your way to the stables. But before we follow you to get your mounts and then head out into the woods, we're going to go back to Fitz and Elise.
What obnoxious, boring person have I saved you from?
Oh man. Probably somebody who just believes that a horse ride is quite too exuberant and much improper, would much prefer to sit down and have a tea with everyone. And oh yes, of course, a tea would be lovely, but we must allow the good princess her event, and etc. etc. And just, oh my god, stop talking.
Fitz will interject and be like, I assume I know you. I don't know that we're acquainted, but you know, there are some very gentle horses over in the stables right now, but they might go fast because I don't know what we're going to deal with, but you look like someone who could use something calm.
So true.
Incredible.
This NPC?
Yes. No. I know exactly what Elise rides. And
don't worry about it.
And when he's doing that, I don't know what this gendered person is, but I'm going to assume that they are mask presenting, because Fitz kind of like takes him by the back of the neck and just turns him around and like walks him halfway and gives him a little like, there you are, very good. Look forward to seeing you later.
And you are so genial that he thanks you and is just like, thank you so much for your quick thinking, Captain.
Of course.
That was very kind.
Elise just gives the most dramatic like bow that Fitz knows is clearly just a goof. Well, have a lovely ride. I shall speak to you later.
Yes, and then I assume there's a look, like a, ooh.
Yeah, just like, oh my god, can you believe this guy?
I am so sorry that you dealt with that. And there's a moment where it's just like them.
Yeah.
And then Fitz remembers. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's a bit reserved from Elise at first, but like Fitz is just like, we're in it. And so Elise is like, yeah, they come with the territory. If we're gonna ignore this, we're gonna ignore this. That's fine.
Fitz is ignoring it because he's not remembering it until he does. And then there is like his face kind of like he does the eye. So like, oh oh, I just remembered something. And he gets like into a very formal position and like puts his arms behind his back and is like, so
Oh man.
fighting horses.
Yes, I see you've brought the good Lord Douglas with you. Just like, oh, he's gotten all formal, and she's just like, oh, okay, cool. So we are doing this. Does Fitz still have the flower tucked in his jacket?
He does.
She is staring. Like cannot meet his eyes, but will meet that.
How many people are around us? Because I think this might also be a patented Aaron Sorkin like walk and talk, where we are making our way slightly away from any eavesdroppers or people who would hear us.
I think a number of people have started to make their way to the stables, and so what I would imagine is in some ways the two of you are like walking and talking and sort of heading in that direction, but in a more circuitous route.
Like a little bit wider.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
And so he does the I'm going to overreact in the overly formal way, realizes what's happening because he's not a dummy, although he presents that way, and then sort of goes the opposite route. And Elise, if you're not looking at his face or catching his eye, you can at least see that like all of the frenetic energy and like vibrant sort of just goes away. And you can see he's just got very deep bags under his eyes and his shoulders are a little hunched. And he's like, I'm glad that you made it home safe.
I take it you did as well. Just not going for, normally she would be going for your arm, just, casually we're having a little promenade or whatever. Her hands are behind her back as well, just sort of not reaching out like she normally would.
Yeah, he's also not doing so.
Yeah. Hate it. I take it you slept well, I hope.
He just laughs. No, a lot of thoughts, mostly of certain individuals for whom I was concerned.
Well, I apologize for my role in any of that.
No apology necessary. I think today we'll have some fun, and then I will catch 60 winks, or however many you're supposed to have.
I think they do sort of laugh a bit, but I don't think they have words at the moment, because normally it is like, oh, look at this asshole and look at this fancy what's her face with feathers in her hair and blah, and it's oddly quiet between the two of them. But they do walk close, but pointedly not touching.
Yes. I think that there comes a moment where there comes a point where if we go any further, we have to go to the stables. We've exhausted the amount of circuitousness we can have, and Fitz just stops.
Yeah.
And he looks at Elise and he says, I did receive your letter. I hope you received mine. I meant all of it.
I cannot thank you enough. I must warn you, that the Royal Highness is aware of the situation. I don't believe that will have necessarily any ill effects as of now, but I assume that what they know, the Seneschal knows as well, and I cannot speak to his propriety.
Fitz gives a nod. It's like, I'm familiar with the foibles of those in power. I'm familiar with the bad choices or foolish choices that some of them make. I'm not terribly concerned.
I think she does turn to like properly face him at this point. Like they've stopped walking, and kind of the jig is up, and just like I think at this point we'll sort of reach out for to like sort of touch his arm, and then sort of remember the state potentially of his hands, and then it would be improper to hold them, but it is clear that she wants to. And she just sort of like lowers her voice in case there are, passersby, and says, I hope that you are all right. I understand that you play a strong character, and I appreciate that, but truthfully.
So he holds up his hands, and they are still wrapped in a blue and red ribbon. And he sort of gives them a little flex and then pulls one off, and whatever wound was there is just completely gone. And the same for his other hand. And he looks at the two ribbons and just sort of tosses them on the ground because he's a litter bug. And he's like, I do have something of a fast healing constitution.
I think at that point, fuck propriety. They just sort of glance over their shoulders, like as long as nobody is like actively like staring daggers or anything, they will take one of his hands and just look, like pointedly flip it over. How?
He looks stern, or at least frowny. He's not a frowny guy, but he looks frowny in that moment. And he's like, tonight, Polo Ground, I'll tell you everything.
I shall see you then.
And there is relief in his face at that. Like any,
As if there was any question.
Right. I mean, well, you never know. I mean, he's carrying a lot of tension in his body, but some of it goes out at that. And then he does hold out an arm and give like one of his little silly bows for her.
And they will give just the most ridiculous curtsy as well. Shall we ride?
Yes. I did bring Douglas as a warning. So I know you're a skilled equestrian, but whatever horse you choose may not be up to the task of not dying. So please be careful.
I shall choose my ride wisely. If I can speak English.
And I think with that moment, we see the four of you starting to choose your mounts, those of whom need to do that, as you have Douglas Fitz. Out of curiosity, there is the option of, we'll say, like mortal mounts and the fairy mounts. What do each of you choose?
I mean, you got a fairy mount available. You gotta go fairy mount, right? Obviously.
That is very fair.
Mm-hmm. So I know the fae are seasonal. Is there also Seelie and Unseelie?
There are not. So just strictly seasonal.
Gotcha.
Are the horses seasonal as well?
Yes, the horses actually are seasonal as well.
Fantastic. Okay. So I think Dorian finds a summer horse.
Okay.
But it's the summer at night. So there's this low, sort of, not sticky, but very humid southern heat. It sort of lingers around the horse, which sort of has hints of magnolia, which really only helps to amplify his own personal scent. Yeah. and he's just like immediately like, "What's up?" on this horse. They're besties pretty quickly.
Amazing. What about for Astrid?
It is not often that Astrid finds herself. Well, actually, hold on one second. I haven't thought about Astrid on a horse, considering technically, but also. I think Astrid finds themselves drawn more so to a spring horse, particularly like an early spring type horse. Very like maybe if there's one that's like a buttercup yellow, with like long blonde mane, long blonde tail, of a jolly, like joyful temperament, just eager to be here kind of horse. I think that's exactly the type of vibe Astrid is drawn to, particularly in looking for a steed. Her family is well off, but not well off enough to be able to afford her own horse to keep in the stable regularly. So this is truly a luxury.
That is such a beautiful choice. And even while she is giving you your space, Princess Xavier does pause as you choose your horse. And you can see her outfit has completely changed. Now she is in riding breeches and a looser top. And she smiles at you and says, "They've always been one of my favorites as well. I think you'll enjoy this ride."
Well, Princess, I mean, clearly you have a wonderful taste in equine companions. Does this particular horse have a name?
Yes, that is Peony.
Peony. Wonderful. I hope her ride is as fresh as the flower she's named after.
And
Thank
I
you
hope
again
I
for the
will.
opportunity. Oh, sorry.
That is fine. That is fine, Lady Primer. I was just saying I hope that I will get to see more of you throughout today.
And I you.
And
Thank you again.
And she smiles at you, and you feel just a bit of that touch of sunlight once again before she walks away.
Astrid closes their eyes briefly as they like luxuriate in that feeling of like the radiance coming off of the princess. And then remembers, okay, wait, hold on. I just accepted a date from somebody else. Oh.
Amazing.
Too much attention. Alert, alert.
Overstimmed. Just that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Elise, what do you choose?
I think it goes without saying that Elise takes a mortal horse. One that is clearly built for work, less than riding. They're happy to, take the last pick if that is what is an appropriate way of getting a good old working horse. And they're a capable rider. Should not be much of an issue. But just I think being around all of this is already quite fantastical enough without magic spring horses. And I think having a mortal horse is a bit more close to home, and I think they need that right now. But fully capable of, if they are not already saddled up, just tacking up the horse themselves and doing a damn good job of it. And does not need help on the horse. Does not need help putting the tack on. They are ready to go before, some of the other folks who have had their horses for a longer time.
Incredible. And yes, I think there are some stable hands who do start to approach Elise, and then seeing that you have things so well in hand, step back and go to help some of the others who need more help than you do.
She does thank them profusely, of course, but she's done.
And so with that, the group starts off on the ride. Princess Xavier at the front. The rest of you, I'm sure, pairing off, moving into other groups as things progress. I would imagine Fitz giving Douglas, making sure all the other riders give Douglas a wide berth so no murder happens.
Listen, I can't be responsible for that. There will be no maimings on my watch.
I think Elise tests it a little bit. Is like, how close can I? Oh, no. Okay. Cool.
Nope.
I think
at least 5 feet of berth. Excellent. That is doable.
Can my horse have like not enough give a fuck? It's just like you're not gonna bite me. Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. It's like, I'm a bad bitch. You can't kill me. That kind of energy from a horse.
I would,
I'm a bad bitch. You can't kill me.
I would like to point out
Miss Keisha.
Douglas is basically a Nazgul horse. Like, he's just a horse literally from hell. So,
wait, literally from hell? Literally from hell?
I mean, maybe. My dad keeps some
carefully. That can happen in this game.
Yeah. No. My dad keeps some really fucking scary stables. So, like, maybe he did buy me a devil horse because that's, a thing.
We heard of hellhounds. Now we've got hell horses.
Yeah, devil horse. Amazing. Anyway, yeah, my horse will get close. And like it's not afraid to go just a real quick little kick, just be like, you're not gonna bite me, stop it, and then move on.
I feel like there's a moment where Fitz, in just trying to not make a scene, like literally brings Douglas all the way around and does like a 180 sort of get out of the way. And I mean, he's a very, very skilled rider on Douglas, so it's like, he's doing this weird twist and turn thing, and he's looking at Dorian like, you.
There's a ding. And then playfully moves on. Dorian will make sure to stay as close, to Astrid as possible.
Yeah, no, sorry. I am now in the 100 Gex rabbit hole. Because I had to put on stupid horse.
That is fair.
That is fair.
Astrid will... Astrid will, try to position their horse kind of between Elise and Elise and Dorian's. Just to have, friend on one side, new person that suddenly wants a lot of Astrid's attention all at once on the other. Who will win?
We love that for the three of you. And you all are having a lovely time. I mean, it is a beautiful spring day. The birds are singing, animals are scurrying around in the underbrush, everyone is talking, there's laughter, things feel very light. Up until the moment when Princess Xavier screams.
Elise is bolting to wherever she is, not even a second thought. Just kicks it, the horse runs.
Are the rest of you following?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Douglas, I think I've hopped off Douglas and I'm just running.
You're faster than your horse.
I mean, I'm not gonna bring Douglas into this mix, so he knows what to do. So I just hop off of him and I'm running.
And
I'm still riding, so I'm gonna go forward.
So the other three of you are riding?
No, Astrid 100% also follows.
On foot?
they dismount and just immediately start booking. As we've established, she is good at running.
I like that. I think there's a moment where Astrid goes past Fitz, and he's like, "What? What is? Wait a minute!
I must race her."
Just Naruto running. Astrid invents Naruto running.
Incredible, especially in a Regency setting. That just makes it 110% better. All of which is incredible and humorous and hilarious up until you catch up with Princess Xavier. And she has similarly dismounted. I think what you notice first is the fact that she is no longer on her horse. And you might even think for a moment she had gotten thrown, although she's on her feet. But she's staring at something ahead. And all of you would become aware of the smell of sulfur as you step into a clearing. And in the middle of that clearing is Prince Reynard. Or at least what is left of him. There are clasps of cold iron around his wrists, ankles, and throat, and chains are stretching out to the trees around him, forming the shape of a pentagram. The earth is soaked in his blood. And he has clearly been sacrificed. And that is the moment, Dorian, where you reach out to Abigail. In a way you never have before.
All right. Something's happened.
What else, if anything, do you try to say?
What's your father up to?
And that is where we are going to end tonight's session. Because that is incredible.
How dare? First off, how dare you?
Second off, how could you?
Hey,
Third off,
JD,
how dare you again?
I got a question real quick. What the fuck?
I don't see the problem. Everything's fine here. Everything is fine. We're all fine. We're all chill. The chat is really chill.
Hey,
I feel like
everything's fine, guys.
infernal sacrifices are like the opposite of chill, though, is the thing.
JD, you know how I said that when I go to Texas, if I find Greg Abbott, I'm gonna do. Well, you know what? You're gonna get one of these and these too.
Wait, I'm being put in the same category as Greg Abbott? No.
You know what you did. You know what you did.
You know what you did to Reynard.
Listen, everybody wanted to kill him. Everybody's got a motive. Okay, Astrid doesn't really have a motive, but, you know, everyone else has a motive. Like, it could be anyone.
I don't have a motive.
I don't either.
Unless.
I'm clean. I'm so good, actually. I'm so good.
Unless.
I did send a letter, though, so that's not great.
You did?
JD, is that the point where I can spill some tea?
Yes.
Or do we wait?
No, you can tell.
Okay, yeah, that letter, that got fed to my sister's dogs. That didn't make it.
We've got a whole lot of drama going on.
Just so you know.
Well, damn, I guess I know what I'm watching on the plane tomorrow. God, shit.
There is so much tea being spilled. Okay, you all have been amazing. I hope you don't hate me too much for throwing this curveball into your mix. Ruining what was such a nice romantic ride.
I hate and love in equal measure.
Katie, there are so many more events this season. Not all of them have to end in murder. So this is just like a hiccup. This is our first hurdle,
exactly.
And then we're fine.
Yeah, this is going to be the one murder. We've gotten it out of the way quickly.
Out of our systems.
Right. We got the first season jitters out, you know?
Yeah.
All right.
No more murders.
No more murders. It's fine.
Not even like one as a treat.
You know, we'll talk about it. About it.
Okay. All right. Because we did talk about fighting parents. So
you did. You did. So
Among other things.
yeah.
All right. So I am going to go around one more time for each of you to have a chance to say goodnight to the amazing chat and remind everyone why you were all awesome, because you are all awesome and you all crafted such amazing characters. And I'm so delighted that we've finally gotten to introduce them after what feels like an eternity. So with that, Kit, you are up first.
Am I? Oh man, I'm still coping. And I will be for the foreseeable future. Hi, I am Kit. You can find me online on Twitter at KitRollCause or on Instagram just at KitRoll. I will be here every other Friday, vibing and chilling and hanging out and not committing murders. I promise is a strong word, but
I don't think you can promise that.
She's not at this table. I promise. Chat, don't tell her. I will also be over on The Lost Caravan tomorrow, actually, premiering our Fabula Ultima campaign, Fatal Ascension, where I will play a little robot. So if you want an entire tonal shift, come over and hang out. It'll be great. And then Wednesdays, I will be over on High Shelf Collective for our brand spanking new Cyberpunk Red campaign, Ascension in Paradise. Where I am a little botanist, and nothing bad will ever happen. I promise. That one I can promise for sure. And I'll be elsewhere. Check the socials. Peep them. Come hang out. I'm all over. I'm in your channels making characters
and being awesome. Speaking of awesome, Q.
Hi there. I'm Q. You can find me on the internet, midnight_INQ. Q is my name. I'm sure you get it. I am from Tales from the Table Studios. Gonna be doing stuff on there. When? I don't know. Fucking fuck around and find out, I guess. I don't know. I am having an excellent time here. Thank you so much. I will be doing other stuff here eventually. Not gonna say what though, because it's a surprise. Other than that, I'm on Twitter, doing lots of stuff on Twitter these days, mostly talking shit about all of the dumb people in the world. There are a lot of them to talk about, so there's that. And talking about magic. Trying to get into that, trying to sling some spells with my internet friends. So be on the lookout for that. Also, I have a podcast. Jesus, I forget every time. I have a podcast. It comes out on Fridays. It's called Code Switching Naturally. We talk about random topics from the perspective of, people of color. Because it's me, my sister, and then my other sister. Not blood, but close enough. Okay. I'm done shilling for myself now.
No, always plug that, Q. Always plug that.
I need to remember so much more.
You do so many cool things. And Alex, you are up next. Speaking of someone who does cool things, as we all do.
Hey, I'm Alex. I was Captain Fitzgerald de Villiers, who's just a normal guy. I write games in the Backwater universe, which I created with my colleague Asa. Those are Southern Gothic and American Gothic horror TTRPGs. Backwater was our first one. We're going to be shipping our second one, Backroads, in a week. So that's super exciting. What else? Come back to this very channel on Wednesday as we do our final episode for the Eldritch Lady Badasses of Wrestling, which is a 1980s Call of Cthulhu wrestling game about a women's wrestling league that's up against some shit, and they're trying to wrestle their way out. And I think it's going to go really well. There will also be other things that I'll be doing on this channel. I don't know if I can say, Will. Will, can I say? Will, can I say? Will, can I say? I want to tell you. I'm going to see if he says anything in the chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking for a minute.
I feel like he keeps telling me that we don't have to keep secrets, but then I get really nervous that we have to keep secrets.
All right. I'm not going to... I have, and I will. Coming in June... Oh, I'm sorry. What was that, Will? Okay, he's muted. coming in June, some people at this table and I, and some people at Table 1 and I, are going to be running a Changeling the Lost campaign set in Stalin's Russia in 1950. And it's going to be Fey courts and the Soviet Union, and people are going to get murdered, and it's going to be a really good time, I think. So that's going to be an ongoing campaign that I'm going to be running, and I'm super, super excited about. So,
Amber, you good?
So anyway, okay, lost Amber. So anyway,
took Amber completely out.
Wonderful.
Hey,
wonderful. So Amber, I think you'll definitely want to tune in for that, and other people also tune in. Anyway, that's me. I'm Alex. I'm Mightiest Finn on Twitter. I talk about stuff. It's been a real joy to be at this table. Thank you, JD. Thank you to all of the wonderful people that I played with. I've been thinking about this game so much, and I love it. Anyway, good night.
I'm glad we were finally able to introduce these characters and also let you share that secret. And I'm so sorry, Amber, because you are up next if you can find the words to speak.
Literally, I've never heard a better pitch for anything since, hey, I want to play Monsterhearts, but it's Regency.
You just made Amber's ear.
They're gone.
That's amazing. Sorry. Hi, everybody. Fuck, that's amazing. Okay, hi, everybody. I'm Amber, also known as the Space Jamber. Oh my god. I'm a TTRPG writer, editor, podcaster, streamer, and I would love to make your next table more magical. God, what do I have to plug? I'm coming out of a mental health and job requirement break. So hey, guess what? My schedule is opening back up. Hey, if you want to get me on a thing, do it now. But things I need to plug. I'm going to be also on. I am on a cyberpunk game with Kit. My God, I'm sorry. My brain is still like eggs from that reveal. Sorry. I'm playing Cyberpunk with Kit over on High Shelf Collective. I'm playing Corona, who is a gossip mongerer, who's a little bit more ethical than Perez Hilton, but maybe not too much. I am also halfway through a playtest of Spliced over on Alakazam's channel. We just did the episode last night for the first of 2 episodes, so check that out on his VOD. And then coming up, hold on, wait, what's coming up the same day as the next time this table gathers?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Is that the premiere of Urban Shadows? Here on Live from the Apocalypse that JD's also a part of. So if you want to get to some religious trauma hijinks for like the next 6 months, join us at 1 p.m. Eastern here on Live from the Apocalypse. I will be playing Ingrid, who is actually the only mortal who doesn't have powers, but she has secrets. And she has everyone else's secrets. But yeah, and I guess also keep an eye out for Emergent Code, which is the Animon story podcast that is about to launch next month. We are recording our first episode in a week, which is wild. So really excited to get that off the ground for some good Digimon inspired content. But yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This has been wild. It's a pleasure to finally be in a Monsterhearts campaign on this side of the table. So
it's a pleasure to have you here. Yes. And I realized I did not introduce myself when we started. So I am JD. I am now, I guess, more so being a storyteller with Live from the Apocalypse, but usually I am a player. So you can find me in way too many things, because you can find me in Class Reunion, you can find me in Academy H, you can find me in that Changeling game that Alex mentioned, and you can find me in our Urban Shadows game that Amber mentioned, where I will be playing Saint Soren Augustine, an actual saint, and certainly not a monster. I don't know why anyone would see him like that. He is a very sweet, well-adjusted child. It's fine. And I think, no, that is not all I have to plug. I also am with Tales from the Table Studios just about every Monday for the SCP game, A Crumbling Foundation. And I will be showing up a few times with The Lost Caravan this month for Nova and for what will probably be the end of my character in a Lancer campaign that we have been doing, which I am in with Kit. And I am also watching Will on camera here, holding up fingers to show how many things I have listed and judging me. Just so you all know, that is what is happening off screen. I am being judged. So yes, that is all. I swear that is all. There's probably something I forgot. There is something I forgot, but I can't quite announce that yet. So, like I said, I'm GMing currently this game. I will be GMing more from Live from the Apocalypse. In fact, I will be GMing a longer-term campaign starting in May. But we cannot announce that yet. So, my wife is judging me too. I feel very judged. That is unfair. Anyways, come back next week for Table 1, getting to experience the repercussions of what happened tonight and seeing how they handle this news. Everybody's roasting me. I love you all. It's fine. I am very tired. That means it is probably time to raid, if I can remember how to raid. That is why Will is here to help guide me. /raid insight checked. And we will throw a raid over to them. And you should also come back here on Sunday in order to see the Madigans. And we love you all. Say goodnight.
Good night, Cass.
Good night, Cass.
Good night.